Hi, everyone, and welcome to tonight's presentation. Tonight, we are joined by Katie Longbreak, Executive Director of local nonprofit WUMCO. Reminder, please remain muted during the presentation. You can send any questions you have throughout in the chat, and as always, there will be an opportunity at the end to unmute for Q&A. Thank you to tonight's featured sponsor, Don Hofecker, ANC Heating. If you enjoyed tonight's presentation, please make sure to check out our website and register to join us again next week. Without further ado, Katie, take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, everyone, Poolsville seniors. And I really appreciate any opportunity to share about the work of WUMCO. I truly believe that the work of WUMCO is the work of our whole community, and we just get to be the organization that channels it and does the more official work. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me get to where I'm going to be. Okay. And 1 second. Okay. There we go. Can everybody see the slides? Get a thumbs up. Good.
I think we're seeing your slides deck.
Yeah, that's good. You can see my slides. Good. Great. Well,
Katie, you're there's an overlay over your slide.
You can see the whole thing. Okay, let me try again.
With the speaker notes are just showing.
Okay, yeah, let me try again. Let me go. Thank you for telling me. Okay. No matter how many times you do this, it always feels so awkward. Okay. Now, is it just showing the slide or is it showing the speaker view too?
Yes, I'm just seeing the slides now.
Great. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So WUMCO Help has been around for 54 years now. So I am just continuing in the legacy of what has come before me. This is our official mission statement, but to make it a little more succinct, we are the designated emergency assistance organization for Poolsville, Barnesville, Bellsville, Boyds, and Dickerson. And that means we have our food pantry, which that is the thing that most people know the most about WUMCO. We provide monthly food to families that need it, and more if they need it more, but we do a big order once a month. And that's mainly because some of our families are having to travel a fair distance, or our volunteers are traveling a fair distance to get the food to them. So we don't want to ask them to come every week. We also, though, even more than food, the majority of our work is financial assistance. And we have two kind of streams of assistance. One is for household expenses, is how we classify it. And that can include rent, mortgage payments, utilities. We even help with car repair so that people can get to work. And then we also do medical assistance, and that's financial assistance for doctor's visits, prescriptions, and that sort of thing. And then we also do help at Thanksgiving and the December holidays. So we are quite busy. And I thought I would just give you a picture of our assistance in 2021. I'm gonna put a link in the chat to, if you're interested, you can look at our whole annual report here later if you'd like. But this is just going to be an overview And the only reason that we can do any of this work is through generosity of our community, and that all of our food, every single bit, is donated. Other food pantries purchase food from like the Capital Area Food Bank, you probably have heard of, and such. But we have never had to do that. All of our food is donated, and most of our finances are also donated. We do have some grants, but most of it is through the generosity of local donors, such as yourselves, which has just been such an amazing thing to see. During COVID, we saw a really big increase in giving to WUMCO, which has been just amazing. And that's been true of emergency organizations, homeless organizations, and the like across the country. During COVID, this type of nonprofit, we saw big bumps in donations. And also during COVID, it was just an interesting time to be of service because there was a lot of help available to people through government assistance programs. So we shifted during COVID to be doing a lot more case management kind of work, which was really important because people needed more help than what we could give. But to kind of talk about the assistance, this was our assistance in 2021, which is the most recent that I have compiled in this way and sort of gives an overall picture. But I'd like to always give a glimpse into the people behind the numbers. The people we serve are our neighbors. So just to give you a quick glimpse into some of their stories. WUMCO assisted many families with utilities, keeping their electricity and water on, their prescriptions filled, their doctor's appointments kept, and their automobiles running. We assisted many families fill up fuel oil tanks so they could be warm this winter. We helped a client who works a seasonal job pay for rent in the winter so that she could avoid being evicted. WUMCO volunteers, that's the other thing that I should mention, is that our volunteers we have a transportation whole wing of what we do, where volunteers take the homebound to medical and other necessary appointments. Volunteers drove 2,555 miles in 2021. Recently, a WUMCO driver took one of our clients to a court date. This client has been working very hard to get his life back together, and being at court was an important step on this journey. WUMCO drivers are really the unsung heroes of our work. Other examples of what we did in 2021, we helped purchase hearing aids for an elderly man who could not afford them on his own. WUMCO also assisted with a lot of dental bills, and that's filling some gaps that Medicaid and Medicare often do not fill with hearing and dental needs. WUMCO assisted a local family who struggled to pay their electric bill when one parent had to go on medical leave and had no income during that time. We paid for an emergency septic tank pumping for a Dickerson family. WUMCO gave food to a single mother who was in between jobs, a family whose main earner died of COVID, and many other families who needed food from the WUMCO pantry to get by. I could truly go on and on. This is just a small glimpse of a few clients we assisted in 2021. And like I said, our food is all donated. We've had a really high level of food coming in for over 2 years now. Almost 30,000 pounds of food were donated in 2021. And we have been able to give some food to generous amounts of food to WUMCO clients, as well as send some excess food to other food pantries in Montgomery County. We are all interconnected and we work together as much as we can. We have also benefited from that interconnection, especially with fresh foods and meats that are not donated very often. The box in the Pike and Villega parking lot where a lot of people donate food continues to be indispensable. Now we have volunteers emptying it twice a week, at least. Sometimes we have to send people over another time. At WUMCO, we have two, well, I guess technically three staff. We have myself and our assistant executive director, Patricia Brown. We're both part-time. And then we have a very part-time bookkeeper as well. But none of WUMCO's work could happen without our volunteers. Committed volunteers come into the office to sort food and pack food orders throughout the year. Drivers take clients to medical appointments. Volunteers have delivered food to the doorsteps of the homebound and the quarantined. And we have, in the last few years, really stepped up and met the needs of our community as they've shifted during COVID. Back when the kids were home from school, we realized that there was a problem where a lot of kids, especially in outlying areas, were not getting the school lunches that were available to be picked up at Poolsville Elementary. And so we organized volunteers that picked up the lunches and delivered to over 100 kids a day. And that was a way that they were getting access to the food that was available to them. But some families, especially if you live on the other side of Dickerson, could not manage driving the 20 minutes back and forth if you're trying to also work from home and have other children. It just was very complicated. So our volunteers delivering the food really met a need. And another need that we stepped in to fill was organizing a group of volunteers to help local residents obtain vaccine appointments. And that wasn't just for WUMCO clients, it was for lots of people that were having trouble with the technology. I mean, you all remember what it was like to get vaccine appointments in the early days with being on the computer, and some people just couldn't manage that. So we helped with that and got them to their vaccine appointments. So we are creative, and we step in to meet needs as they come up. One creative thing that's happening now is that local gardeners, organized in part by Sustainable Barnesville and also Community Farm Share, are doing Plant an Extra Row. So if you're a gardener and would like to plant some extra produce for this growing season and donate it to WUMCO, that's a creative way that we're getting more fresh produce for our clients. I hate to give people canned green beans when I know the fresh stuff is readily available in the summer. Our community is amazing, and the support that we receive with volunteer hours and all sorts of donations just is wonderful. And the way we do that, like I said before, is a lot through our membership program. You can join WUMCO as a member annually, and that is really the backbone of our financial support. Memberships begin at just $50 a year and go up from there. But currently over 300 individuals and families have joined as members to support WUMCO. Our campaign starts really in November and then is ongoing. And I'm going to put a link in the chat box if any of you would like to check out our membership. We are always adding new members to our roles. And yes, that membership program is truly a humbling thing to see all the people that support. And as a member, you enjoy some discounts at area restaurants and other businesses. That's all on our website too. The community also supports us through WUMCO Wednesdays. You've probably seen this around. Currently, we have it at Mexican Grill here in town, and then also the Rio Grande Grill, which is right over the line in Germantown. Which it's run by Erica Myers, who is also going to be reopening Bassett's in town. So Erica is a great supporter of WUMCO as well. So we really appreciate these businesses that support us. But this is it's also, well, it's an exciting and also a bit of a, well, concerning, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but as far as the assistance that we're providing to people going forward, we have seen a big uptick in need since the beginning of 2022. As inflation has gone up and government assistance programs are winding down, we are definitely seeing more and more need. And that just is across the board with our food pantry and the financial side of things. The good news is that the community has supported us so well that we are in a really good place to help. So that is the good news. But we are just seeing the very real impacts that our current economy and complicated situation are having on our lower income neighbors in our area. So we are watching that. But it's also an exciting time for WUMCO, not just because we're in a good place to be of help, but also because we are working to expand how we are meeting the needs of those in our community. I mentioned before the Plant an Extra Row program. We also are partners with Community Farm Share, which Jenny Freeman started just a few years ago. And this is not just for our area, but is based in our area. Community Farm Share Connects has sponsors that purchase farm shares from our local farms in our area. And then those shares of the vegetables go to low-income folks. So there are, it says 22, but we just added another family. So 23 WUMCO families this season that are benefiting from this. If you haven't checked out the good work that they're doing, it both feeds families and supports local agriculture. It's such a wonderful program. I would check them out for sure. We're also working in partnership with the Little Free Pantry that has started at Poolsville Presbyterian Church. WUMCO has helped to fill some gaps when they have been low on food. And we have been able to point WUMCO clients there, especially when we get a call on a Friday afternoon from a client that says, oh, I forgot, but I really need food. And I just, it takes us at least a day to turn around and prepare a food order. We've been able to point them to the Little Free Pantry, which has been really nice to say, this is where you can get some stopgap stuff to get you through the weekend, and we'll have your food order ready on Monday. So that's been nice to have that for sure. And just to have many different entry points for those that need assistance. We're also displaying cards that have the WUMCO information in the Little Free Pantry. So if someone is coming upon that and needs more assistance, they can find us. Other really exciting news is that we're moving. I don't know, in the middle of the move, I might not say that's so exciting, but it is exciting. Our current space has been wonderful for us over the last 5+ years. And we're grateful to Poolsville Baptist Church for helping us to move into Poolsville. Previously to that, we were in Jane Stearns, one of our founders' garage out in Dickerson, and that was fine, but it was not very visible. Being in town with that increased visibility has been a game changer for WUMCO. But we have grown out of our space. We're currently in one room. Some of you have seen where we are, but we are currently, the office and the pantry and our meeting space is all in one classroom, basically, in the church. And we've grown out of the space. I think sometimes I'm gonna have pyramids of cans around me on my desk. We're gonna be moving into this building at Memorial United Methodist Church. And Memorial is working to complete the outside of the building. And then WUMCO will be updating the inside with the assistance of Helping Hands. You'll soon see more activity as this work really gets underway. So we're on our way to moving into our new space. And I'll just show you, this is a drawing that where the red X is, that was a hope. The church was thinking maybe they would build a porch on the front, but that's not happening at this point. So that red X is not going to be included. But we are going to have a larger pantry, about 2 times the space that we're currently in, which will expand how we can help. We already have a grant which will help us purchase a walk-in cooler and a freezer, which will help us to better organize our cold food storage and expand our capacity to store and give out fresh and frozen foods. And we have plans to expand our offerings in toiletries and cleaning supplies, which are items that are not covered by SNAP or other forms of assistance and are always in high demand. And we're going to have more workspace for our volunteers, which I'm very excited about. We're also going to have a separate office space. This will allow us to better protect our clients' privacy, both in protecting our files, as well as just being able to have a private space for conversations. Currently, we just have one table where food orders are packed and sensitive conversations are had. It's going to be wonderful for our clients to be able to just offer them more dignity in how we're able to receive them. And then we have a third room that will give us flexible space. We envision using it for meetings and classes in topics such as financial literacy and parenting skills. We could set up times for assisted job banking or offer the space to a mental health provider to use for therapy. The possibilities are many, and we're excited to get into the new building and let our creativity grow with the space. Our ability to make this move is in large part thanks to the bequest of one of WUMCO's founders, Jane Stearns. We continue to look to her example as we make this move. Hopefully this summer, that's what we're moving towards. And the other really exciting news that WUMCO has is that we have applied and received a grant for Western Montgomery County Improved Access to Healthcare Initiative. The grant is from the Healthcare Initiative Foundation. And the purpose of it is to begin to address the poor health outcomes in our area of Montgomery County. You may have heard before that Poolsville ranks last in the county for health outcomes. And while the county has known that, they haven't really had a lot of incentive to really dig into why that is or what might help. And that is where we are stepping in. So this grant has allowed us to hire someone, which we just hired, Melissa Wiedenhofer. She is going to first be doing some more digging into the data that is out there, into the why we have such poor health outcomes. And then we're going to be moving into researching options and bringing out some services. And the hope is at the end of a year, we will have collected some really good data to be able to better advocate for the services for those in our area that need them. So we're just beginning this work. We're very excited about it. And we're hoping to continue to expand how we serve those in our area. And this is an example of that. Like I said in the beginning, WUMCO has for over 50 years served in an emergency needs capacity to catch people as they fall. And while this will always be the heart of our work and mission, we're hoping to move into empowering our clients and preventing the fall in the first place. So this grant is a really huge step along that road, and we're hopeful that we can continue in that direction. I really think WUMCO's future is exciting. It's an honor to work there, to be the director, to get to be the person that gets to be the person talking to our clients and our donors across the board. I truly do feel, though, that WUMCO is the work of our whole community, and that it will continue to meet the changing needs as they come. So thank you. I'm going to put that up just for a second. And I think there was a question in the chat box, but also I would love to have a conversation. I know I don't want to just sit and be talked at for too long. So I'd love to just have a conversation. If you have questions or ideas, anything like that, I'd love to hear it. Let's see, the question in the chat box said that you mentioned that WUMCO is the designated emergency assistance agency for this area. Does the county, state, or federal government provide any regular assistance to WUMCO? Was WUMCO given this designation by the county, or is it default? Since we are a government services desert? Yes, that's a really good question. We do receive $10,000 a year from the county. And then we have some other grant funding that we have, but not very much. So that's really it as far as government assistance. And we are designated, the whole county is divided by zip codes through something called the Emergency Assistance Coalition. And we are designated for this area to be the emergency assistance organization that covers where we are. So the county does send people our way. And also we in the Emergency Assistance Coalition work together a lot to send, we get a lot of calls, for example, from Germantown, because they just see Western Upper Montgomery County and they just call, which is fine. But then I know where to send them to get so that they can get assistance, which is really nice. How to volunteer? I love that question. You can contact me. I will put our email and our phone in our chat. Currently with our small space, we are limited as far as pantry volunteers. But when we move, that we'll be able to expand a lot as far as how many people can be in there. Right now, if we get more than 2 people in at a time, it doesn't work. So once we can expand, we'll have more capacity for volunteers. And then we always are looking for drivers. And as far as that goes, even driving once a month, someone to a doctor's appointment. And the way our transportation system works, some of you may know Terry Bodner on the pickleball court. She's our transportation coordinator. But she has this wonderful system where she puts out once a week or so, these are the rides that are needed, and then folks sign up as their schedule allows. So you can decide how often, and then a lot of times people who drive will drop someone off at an appointment, go do their grocery shopping or whatnot, and then pick them back up again and come on back to Poolesville. So even if we had some more folks that just took a ride once a month, transportation is a huge issue for our area. Not only just direct bus lines, but metro access, which is supposed to help folks who are homebound get to medical appointments and such. They only will work with someone if they are, number one, a mile from a bus stop, which the only bus stop is right in Poolesville. So much of our service area is not covered. And then also people need to go down to DC to sign up for it. So that's prohibitive for a lot of our clients to be able to do that as well. It's really challenging to sign up for that if you don't already have help. And if you are living on your own and you're homebound, you often don't have that help, or you don't in our area live close enough to access it anyway. So that's why our transportation volunteers are so important. So just give a little plug for that. What other questions do you all have? I'm going to stop my screen sharing.
Feel free to unmute and ask any questions you have at this time as well.
Hi, Katie. That was very interesting. This is Matt Bent.
Hi.
I'm just curious, how many active volunteers do you have at any one particular time? Just ballpark.
I would say in our pantry, we have probably, currently we have around 20 that do different things at different times. And then our drivers, I think we have around 10 to 15, but a few of our drivers take the majority of the rides.
Okay.
And then we have during special times like holiday time, I pull in a lot of extra volunteers. And we also have some volunteers that are on an email list. And when we have someone that needs their food order delivered, I can ask them. That's probably an additional 20 people. So we have a bunch of volunteers.
That's impressive. That's
Really
impressive.
So, and I've been having to turn volunteers away a lot lately, which is not something I want to do. So I'm really looking forward to having more space. That's just going to expand our capacity to have more volunteers, including a lot of teenagers want to come in for their SSL hours and such. And I want to be able to say yes as much as possible. So, but right now we really can't have too many people in the pantry at one time, or else nothing gets done.
Right.
Yeah.
I have another question. It's kind of tricky to ask. I'm sure that when you provide assistance to someone or to a family, you'd like it to be a situation where you provide that assistance and that gets them out of a low point, and then they can carry on themselves. And I imagine you kind of struggle with that. You know, you might have some people that keep coming back, and then you have others where you can help them and they move on. Can you comment on that?
Right. Yes, you're right. There is, we have some folks that come one time to WUMCO. You know, they were in between jobs or something happened and they just need help getting over that bump. But we do have people that are more regulars, and one thing that we have in place that helps with making sure that doesn't get out of hand is we do have limits on our services as far as the amount of money that we can help people with. We can help with up to $750 a year for household, and then also $750 for medical. If something crazy comes up that would be above and beyond that, then we go to our board for approval, but that doesn't happen very often. And there's some people that come and get the food for a season. Maybe they are a seasonal worker and they need some help getting through the winter. We see that quite a bit. But then we have people that get food almost every month and just really do need it. And as far as our food goes, we don't have those limitations. If people need to be fed, we're gonna feed them.
Right.
Yeah. So that does help somewhat with being able to encourage folks to find either other more sustainable forms of assistance or just some better solutions to their problems. But also, the cycle of poverty is very hard to get out of. If someone is struggling and they just start to get back on their feet, and then they go to the dentist, and the dentist says, oh, you need to have this tooth pulled and you don't have dental insurance, that will be $1,000. They are just sent right back down again. So it's really hard for folks when they get down, sometimes to get back up is so challenging. And we're just aware of that reality as well.
Thank you. That's good.
Yeah.
So one more question from me, and
Sure.
I'll be quiet. You said that, I hadn't heard this statistic, that Poolsville is kind of the bottom of the barrel in terms of health outcome. Could you define that term for us?
Well, that's part of what we that's part of what we are doing this grant for. The county put out a study a few years ago now of health outcomes across the whole county, and it took into account things like emergency room visits and amount, like the age that people died. I forget what else went into it. Things like that went into this study, and Poolsville came out last. But that's pretty much all the county said to us. And we have the data, and we kept saying, well, what are you going to do about this, Montgomery County? And they would say, well, you know, you guys don't have that many people out there, so
right.
we care, but I mean, this is an example. The director of Manna Food, which is the large food organization across all of Montgomery County, called me a few weeks ago and said, Katie, the director of HHS came to me and said, Poolsville ranks last in health outcomes. So can you send the Manna food truck out there And she just looked at them and said, they have plenty of food. That's not the problem. You know, like they're sending us excess food. What are you talking about? But that, like, just trying to throw something at it
Right.
was the impression that I got. So this grant through the Healthcare Initiative Foundation is going to allow us to have someone who really understands data and can dig into what is out there and find out, okay, what are the issues here? And then how do we need to go about starting to make some solutions that are more accessible for people? So we're really excited about this work. And to me, it just really fits with WUMCO's history of, you know, WUMCO started in Jane Stern's garage because the county wasn't really doing much of anything to serve out here.
Right.
And we just continue to have that scrappy, creative heritage. I really do think about that a lot of okay, well, how are we gonna start to address this problem? And so this grant is really going to be helpful. Also in connecting us to other nonprofits across the county that are doing things that we can tap into. So we're really excited about it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Katie, do you keep client data by zip code?
We do.
Is Poolsville, the 20837, really your largest service area?
No, actually Boyd's is larger now. It didn't used to be. But while Boyd's is larger population wise now, they're really hard to reach out to, both in terms of finding the people that need us and then also in finding the people that will support us there. They just don't have a town center or any sort of, it's been very challenging. So that is where the county really does send people to us from the Boyd's area a lot. But yeah, Boyd's is our biggest right now, but we do, I think, serve more people in Poolsville than Boyd's, even though that's a bigger service area. They're just more connected to Germantown.
Yeah, yeah. What, now I just lost it. All right, somebody else while I think this through.
When do you expect to be in the new?
We're really hoping over the summer. We're running into supply chain issues and such, as is everyone else right now. So we've been waiting on windows and a door for the side of the building that faces the road. But I think once we get going, it probably isn't going to take that long. We just there's like an interior wall that we need to take down. We need to do some flooring. I don't think it's going to be too complicated, I hope, and that we can get in there over the summer. So I will be putting the call out. I'm envisioning everyone bring your vehicles and we'll just line up and make a big train over to the new space. And then we'll have an opportunity to be better organized. Right now, just being in a small space, I see Phil's on the call. He's one of our regular pantry volunteers. He can speak to this, how hard it is to stay organized and know exactly what we have when it's so packed in there. It's really challenging. So I just can't wait to have more space.
Yeah, it really is a challenge to, I mean, just even shelf space for the food that comes in, just having enough shelf space. And as Katie said, if you get 2 people in there, I was in there this afternoon with another volunteer, and you know, we were both working, we were both busy, but you know, there's a lot of, oh, excuse me, oh, I'll stand over here while you go over there. Yeah, it's very difficult, and if you get more than 2, it's just not workable at all. You really can't function. But
Yeah.
you know, this has been a great space while we had it, and it's been, as Katie said, a great advantage to move into town. But now we just need more space, more physical space. We need a bigger place.
Yeah, I really can't wait. I think I'm the most excited about having work tables.
Yes.
Just to
Yeah,
have space to work is
I
gonna
agree
be
with
so
that.
great.
Yeah. As it is
Yeah.
now, we spend a lot of time, we've got plastic bins piled up with excess food, and we work on top of the plastic bins because we don't have any table space.
Yeah.
When you have your own space, are you going to be doing collections at your office?
I think maybe. I mean, we do have people that bring food directly to us currently to Dr. Pike really loves that collection box. And it has just worked really well. I don't know if I really want to mess with that, honestly.
Why try to fix, yeah, don't break what's working, right?
Right, exactly. Yes, yes. And that has been just so great to be able to have a 24/7 place that people can drop food. So I don't think we're going to be getting rid of that. Dr. Pike is, I think he's planning on building a new one because he's been doing great battle with a squirrel. And so I think he's gotten to the point where he's had it. He's going to build a new, I think of it as like a Snoopy's doghouse for food for WUMCO. So
Okay.
yeah.
And there's a lot of food that comes in from that too.
Yeah.
That is a huge amount. That's what I spent my afternoon doing, was processing a big Dr. Pike donation today.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
So Katie, I know that before COVID hit, when the churches had more people going to services, that a lot of the local churches had like WUMCO weekend and would have people bring in donations. Do you think that people have been bringing their donations to another location, since it seems most of the churches are not doing that?
Yeah. Do you mean in terms of food or
Yeah.
food? Yeah. Some of the churches still do collect, but I really think that during COVID, people got in the habit of thinking when they went to the store, what can I pick up for WUMCO? And it's been amazing. I just hope that continues. It used to be that when fall rolled around, our shelves were pretty empty, and we would be just counting the days until the Boy Scouts did their food drive to fill us back up again. But the past 2 years, we have said to the Boy Scouts, we don't have room for it. We'll tell you another organization to send the food on down to, which has just been, our community's generosity has been a tad overwhelming at times, but it's been amazing. And we have had to a few times in the past few months put out the word, we're getting low on, I think last week I had to say we're getting low on mac and cheese, which that's like amazing for us to be low on mac and cheese. That really speaks to the amount of food orders we've been sending out if we were running low on that, to me. But I have to be careful what I'm asking for, because if I say to our community, I need something, I get it. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
So I have to be careful not to say I want something that I don't want a lot of. So yeah.
So now where do those alerts go? How do you get on that list too?
I mean, I really do use the town of Poolsville Facebook page a lot. And then WUMCO also has a Facebook page. So I usually just post it to our Facebook page and then share it to the town.
Okay. All right. I'll know where to look then.
Yeah. But if you follow us on Facebook, you'll see any of those sorts of things that come up.
So then in your new location, you'll have more storage and capability to handle fresh things and frozen and meats and perishables and things like that.
Yeah, we already do have that capacity, and our clients are so grateful for any of the fresh and frozen stuff we can give them. So, I mean, that is just all the time. Whenever we have things like cheese, meat, dairy products, anything like that, they're very, very appreciative. But it will be both helpful in organizing what we get, and then also it will be more cost effective in terms of utility usage if we're just using like one walk-in cooler and 1 or 2 freezers. Right now we have like 4 or 5 freezers and 2 refrigerators, and it's just not always the most efficient. And you have to kind of be like, well, which freezer is it in, and that kind of thing. So it'll just help us to more efficiently use our space. And like I said, being able to offer toiletry products and cleaning supplies and things like that, the requests for that have gone up a lot in the last several months. And we don't have the space right now to put out a call for it. So we have a little bit, but we just don't have the room for it right now. So we'll be glad when we can expand that.
So of all the things that your organization needs, volunteers, food, cash, what do you find the hardest to get?
I would say it's our transportation volunteers in particular. That's the hardest to get. It's a big ask, and we get that. It's a big ask to pick up someone you may not necessarily know and put them in your car and drive them to Germantown or Rockville or whatever. And but it's also just really, really needed. So that's the hardest thing. The other things I feel like I ask, and our community really does step up.
Mhm. Good.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit more about the sign-up system that you actually use for transportation volunteers?
Yes. So if you email or call the number that I put in the chat, I can connect you. But our transportation coordinator, Terry Bodner, she uses a system called Village Rides. But basically, she sends out an email once a week, and she says, Joe Schmo needs a ride on Monday at 10. And Betty Sue needs a ride on Thursday at 2. And if that fits in your schedule, you just click it and you sign up and you're on your way. So then the system sends you a text reminder, and it also sends them a call reminder of the ride. And it's really been a great system. We do ask that everyone takes just a basic background check before they're a driver, and then there's a short training just in how to use the sign up system that Terry walks you through, but it's pretty easy, and then you're on your way.
Yeah, I think that could be really cool. Maybe that could be something we could do a little article about on our blog, because I didn't even know that WUMCO had that kind of transportation volunteer system set up. And that's really interesting to hear that that's what's the hardest to get people to volunteer for.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love any attention on that. It would be wonderful. And you can always talk with Terry. She would love to share all about it too. And just as a member of the Poolsville Seniors, it's pretty cool too.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
help on moving day. We can also, of course, if you just let us know whenever moving's happening, share that in our community activities blog posts. We like to try and get the events for other organizations out as well.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for your interest and your support.
Well, WUMCO is a great organization. Do we have any last questions for Katie? Well, I'd just like to say I hope you all enjoyed tonight's presentation as much as I did and learned something new. I'd like to point out I put both the link to WUMCO's Facebook page as well as their website in the chat. So if you're interested, be sure to check them out, give them a like and a follow on Facebook. And as always, if you think of any questions later, you can email us at info@poolsvilleseniors.org. And if you'd like to unmute or turn on your camera now to say goodbye, now's the time. We'd like to thank Katie so much for her presentation, as well as our ongoing sponsors and contributors that help us keep our programs going, because we love putting them on for you. We'll be back this time next week with the richness of Richmond. And as always, you can find more info and registration for all of our events at poolsvilleseniors.org. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Dottie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.